Hi, welcome to another episode of The Secret Sauce. Today I'm interviewing Brian Egan, who is the CEO of Evolve Vacation Rentals. Evolve is ranked number 6 in the top 50 largest property management companies in the world. And they're based in the US, and they have 14,000 rentals under management. So my question was clearly, Brian, how do you get to that number in about 10 years? And he says it's because of their unique business model. Their unique business model he's going to share with us. He's very open about the company, very passionate about vacation rentals and the industry. So I highly recommend you access the episode, which is available both on podcast, on video, and also as a written form on our blog, the Rentals United blog. So I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Cheers. Hello and welcome to this episode of The Secret Sauce, a very exciting episode for me because I am interviewing Brian, who is the CEO of Evolve, and Evolve is no less than number 6 in the largest property management companies in the world. So I'm very, very happy to have you here, Brian. No small talk, as I always say on the podcast. We go straight into it. So please tell us who you are, what you were doing before Evolve, and what's your responsibilities today.
Sure. Not small talk, but thank you very much for having me here. Big fan, appreciate it. Nice to be here. Quick background for me. I grew up in the hospitality industry, but until I was 25 years old, the only money I made in the world was through restaurants. And I did every job from washing dishes to serving to everything in the kitchen you can imagine. And I fell in love. I was hooked on that feeling of creating experiences for other people. I also developed a passion around startups, innovation, technology. I pursued that down the wrong path for a little while. I was a lawyer for startups and venture capitalists in the Bay Area. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We have amazing ones, but it wasn't ultimately what I was meant to be. And that actually brought me to a company in Denver, Colorado, which is where we're headquartered, where I live, where I am right now. Welcome to my family room. To be one of the first 10 employees at a company called Exclusive Resorts, which is one of the early innovators in the luxury destination club concept. Spent about 7.5 years there. That really married these passions for hospitality and innovation and startups and growth. Spent about 7.5 years there building, a company that I was really proud to be a part of. That 08-09 recession was the real deal for that company, and the growth had started to peter out, and got really excited about the next chapter. And that was when another one of the early Exclusive Resorts veterans named Adam Sherry, my co-founder at Evolve, we left to go start Evolve. And I'm sure we're going to get into what it was that we were after when we started it. But that's the journey.
Wonderful journey, but you can go straight into it. What is the Evolve brand? What is it? Please tell us, for those who don't know.
Right, sure. Well, as a starting point, as a brand, let's think about the vision. What we want to do is become the most trusted hospitality brand in this category. Great to hear that we're number 6 on your list. I want to be, of course, number 1, both in terms of the size and the scale of our business, yes, but also very importantly, more importantly, I would argue, the most trusted. What does that mean? Well, we need to make it easy. Our mission is to make vacation rental easy for everyone. And when I think about our customers, one of the things, and we'll get into the business model here in a second, but we have an amazing portfolio of 14,000 properties across, primarily the United States for now. And we are in everywhere from Anchorage, Alaska to Miami, Florida, Hawaii to Maine. We have 1 bedrooms and studios. We have 7 and 8 bedroom mansions. And so our customer base is just an incredibly diverse group of people. It's couples looking for weekend getaways. It's large families and extended groups that are looking to stay for 3 or 4 weeks, and everything in between. And so really what we're trying to do is find, what are the common denominators? What is it that is missing in the category or can be further developed? And for us, a lot of that comes down to consistency. It's, our 4 core property standards. It's, our inclusion and community behavior policy. It's having a team that's available 24/7 that is oriented around the hospitality that we want to deliver. And ultimately it's a brand, right? So we are as good as our next experience that we deliver. I can sit here and tell you about the values of the company and everything else that we've got in place and the architecture, but ultimately a brand is an aggregated set of experiences that consumers have. Obviously, I've been talking a lot about guests. It's important to note that we have another side of our business, which is owners. We partner with owners to bring their homes onto our platform, ensure that, of course, that they are aligned with our vision of the hospitality we want to deliver, the core property standards that define the brand, and that we're aligned on the business terms and the economics. And then what we go and do is of course market and book their homes and create that guest brand that they get to benefit from. As opposed to being an individual owner, you now have a marketing machine behind you that has 14,000 homes on a platform that's drawing quite a bit of demand in as well. So let me pause there, but that's the business in a nutshell.
Well, you touched on so many things that I want to ask you more about.
Sure.
One thing, so your service is primarily marketing service. Did I get that right? Or do you also do full stack property management where you actually greet the guest? And what's the ratio if there's both?
Sure. So there's essentially both, and let's talk about that because it's a really key innovation of our model in the category as a whole. Number one, we don't do what most people are, when you say full stack service, I know what you're referring to. And for our listeners, that would be, we have all of the housekeepers on our payroll. We have all of the, everyone who is working in that full stack is an employee of Evolve and somebody that, that we consider to be a part of our immediate team. Our approach, though, let's be clear, of course, on-site services matter a great deal. And our approach to that is twofold. One, we have the ability to offer owners, flexibility. If you have a vendor that you want to use, a housekeeper, light maintenance, snow removal, whatever the case may be in the market that you're in, so long as we can vet that vendor, and so long as you and the three of us, your vendor, your provider, you as the owner of the home, and Evolve as the hospitality platform, if we can align on those core property standards and what it is that we're trying to deliver, then great, let's go ahead and do that. And that's actually proved to be a really interesting component of our business, and one that quite candidly, a lot of people thought we were crazy for pursuing, and there's no way to guarantee the consistency and. We'll talk about that in a second, Vanessa, but I would tell you that's been amazing because it's allowed us to work with so many owners who simply aren't comfortable turning over every dimension of their home to another company. They don't want to subscribe to that full stack and say, well, now I've got to give up the housekeeper I want or the caretaker who's been helping our family for the last 20 years. The other option, of course, is we have a network of partners in every market, over 500 markets that we operate in, that can handle any one of those things or all of them if that's what you'd prefer. And again, those are partners of ours. They're not on our payroll per se, but they are closely partnered, they're vetted, they're verified, they're aligned with those brand standards. And for owners who don't have a vendor they prefer to work with, that's the other avenue. Right now, that split is roughly 50-50. And over the last 3 to 4 years, the trend line has been increasingly towards accessing our network of partners and away from having your own vendor. And the reason for that, by the way, and we'll, I'm sure, touch on this as well, is that we've increasingly seen owners coming to Evolve as they enter the category for the first time. So when we started this business, our first full year of operation was 2012. Quite a few of our owners were, former for rent by owners. They've been doing this themselves for years. They were looking for more help. They came to a new innovator in the category. These days, what we're really seeing is a majority are first-time renters. They, in some cases, haven't even bought the house yet. They're coming to us, much further in their, or much earlier rather, in their journey. And of course, for those people, they're really looking for more help. They don't have that housekeeper they've relied on for 6 years. So they're really looking for our help there.
Okay, so just going back to the consistency aspect of things, because I imagine, if you feel really strongly about the guest, then you're also trying to get the guest to come back through Evolve, right? So the consistency aspect, very important, I imagine, then as a brand. So how can you make sure when you don't control this side of things, the cleaning, etc.? How? Please tell me a little bit more in details, please.
Absolutely. So I think we need to start with one important premise here, which is that consistency and conformity are not synonymous. And I think that in our category, there's often this push towards, well, in order to have a brand and be consistent, one must essentially pursue conformity. The house, the vacuum cleaner has to run across the carpet in the exact same direction in every place. I believe that people are coming to this category precisely because they love the fact that it's not commoditized, that every home is different, that no matter what Evolve does or any other property manager does, my family room, which we're in right now, is going to look and feel different and than every other one of the 14,000 family rooms that you can rent and enjoy through Evolve. And I think that embracing that fact up front is a really key element of this, right? Because of course, if you're the Westin or you're a Marriott, you're a Sheraton, you are looking to have every lobby, every hotel room, you walk in and you think, I know where I am because I'm in that brand. Not what we're trying to pursue. Okay, now, what do you need as a guest? What is it that's lacking in the market? Because I would argue that, yes, we have a very big problem with trust and confidence and ultimately consistency. And I believe that it comes down to the more basic things. Is the house clean? You and I, Vanessa, might have slightly different views of what meets the bar, but by and large, we're going to see the thing the same way. Has it been professionally cleaned? Would I bring my own family there? Would you do the same, right? If yes, then great. And again, that's why these brand standards are so important, why we train our partners, why we vet partners, and why we go through this very thoroughly with owners in our onboarding funnel to make sure that we're all aligned on what's happening. And of course, we have an inspection process as well. We are sending photographers in. We shoot all of our own photography so that we know exactly what it is that's going to be represented under our brand. And in so doing, we're also inspecting homes against those 4 core property standards and the broader brand image as well to ensure that the home is safe, that it's clean, that it's ready to receive guests, and ultimately that it's as advertised.
Love it. Very, very good answer, Brian. It's very good. And I'm such a vacation rental nerd. I'm on these Facebook groups and I see owners saying how great Evolve is doing for them, and they're first-time owners, like you were saying, and they're so happy with the service. So congrats on that. And and so talking about scaling, right? We want more owners to come to you. How do you do it? What's your marketing approach to get more product or more rentals?
Sure. Well, first of all, you just tied to the right point when people talk about scale. Yes, the brand and the customer are focused on the guest, right? I'm a big believer. I mean, a lot of businesses have 2 sides. Some have even 3. The customer is the one that has their credit card out, right? The customer is the one that is ultimately buying something from somebody, and so it's important to orient around guests. But we have this, we have a partnership with owners that is requisite for growth. We have 14,000 homes in our portfolio. Had we only 1,400, no matter how great we were at marketing and booking and yield management, there's no way we could replicate the business that we have today, right? So growth equals scaling properties. Importantly, we're able to do that in almost any market because of the model I just described. If the owner has vendors that they want to use for on-site services, or if we can source partners in that area, we can light up a home and be very successful in those markets. So we're not constrained to the core markets where we could have 50, 75, 100 homes. We have plenty of markets where we have 5 or 7 homes and we do great. Guests love them. Owners are making money hand over fist, and Evolve is very happy to do so. So one thing I would note is we have a true national reach, and out on that long tail, primary, secondary, and even tertiary markets. How do we reach them? There's some secret sauce to it that I'm not here to share with everyone, but I would say that it's a lot of multi-channel marketing and really cross-pollination of those channels. And Vanessa, you are a self-professed vacation rental nerd, as am I, so I know you see a lot of this out there. That's everything from traditional PPC to social media, paid social, a lot of content marketing. Our blog has some tremendous resources for owners. And importantly, as you know, you're a master content marketer, it's not always about selling people. In fact, oftentimes it's just about being helpful. And yes. So you'll find as a for rent by owner that our blog has tremendous resources for you to be more successful doing this on your own. Oh, and by the way, if you'd like some help, here we are 1 click away. And then we even do things offline, direct mail, et cetera. The last one I would point out that's really been interesting in a growth area of our business is our real estate services team. I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of new owners coming to us as a first-time renter, some of them who don't even have a home yet. Well, we figured out that as many as 22% of the owner leads we were getting were actually prospective buyers. They were researching the industry and trying to figure out, if I did this, how would I get it set up and get moving? So we also have a lot of owners on our platform who have chosen to sell their home or put it on the market. So what we're really in the business of doing now is helping to match those people up, helping, and it doesn't have to be buying one of the homes on our platform, helping people who want to go select a home. We're not acting as a broker dealer or anything, but we're really here to advise and say, here's what we believe rental income might look like. Here are partners that you can talk to. Here's a preferred real estate agent that we vetted and verified in this market that can really help you with that transaction. And there's no obligation, but of course, by the way, we would love it if after buying that home, you would bring it on our platform and we could go partner successfully from there.
And you stay with us basically, so you don't lose the home. And
but we have to, as you well know, we have to earn that business every day, right? I mean, our owners are not locked into term contracts. We are in the business of earning their trust and confidence every day, just like we are guests.
Well, you're obviously doing something right. Are you going to come to Europe?
It's a great question. The answer is, from a vision perspective, unequivocally yes. We have global ambition. We have global vision. We think the European market is absolutely fascinating. I think the real question is timing. And of course, there's some interesting how we would go about doing such a thing. But I can tell you this: 2020 global pandemic quickly took that off the consideration list for the year. But I think that we will be there, and I look forward to coming back on the podcast and talking about it when we're ready.
Because M&A is one way you would grow potentially.
That is true.
Well, it's good to know. You never know. There might be somebody listening.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not trying to be coy there. No, I think that there's a lot of, the dynamics of the European market are fundamentally different than the dynamics of the market in the US. Of course, there's some common denominators. A lot of the things I was just talking about with guests and owners and trust and our vision and our mission, they're universally applicable. I could argue you could take that outside of vacation rental into hospitality broadly. I think that what's interesting in Europe is this market has been developed for decades longer than it has in the US. And you really do have more of the types of larger scaled property manager brands that we aspire to be in the US than you have over here. You said we were number 6. I can promise you at least 3 of the 6 are over in Europe or elsewhere in the world. And they've been at it for 50 or 60 years longer than the industry's even existed over here. So, I will tell you this, Vanessa, as a personal anecdote. At Exclusive Resorts, we launched a European operation, or at least kind of beta launched a European operation. I had a heavy hand in that, although I wasn't the co-founder and CEO at the time. So I didn't get to call all the shots, and I learned a lot from that experience. And I think the list of American-based companies or US-based companies who have gone to Europe and tried to run their own playbook and act as if the whole world is going to spin on the same axis that the US does is long and filled with failures. And so I would say, when I say we want to come to Europe, we do. Our vision gets us there. But I also want to make sure I emphasize we would do that with a lot of respect and with a lot of focus on local partnering and getting, local expertise, because to do otherwise, I think, is a fool's errand.
Very wise, Brian. So I was going to ask you, what's the biggest mistake you've made? It's obviously not yet having gone to Europe.
Clearly the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake we've made in the business. I mean, I'm sure everyone in a role like mine gets on here and says, oh my gosh, there are countless ones. I mean, they're all opportunities to learn. I think the biggest one was early in our history. So we had this vision, and relatively speaking, there's a lot of nuance, but high level, this was the business we set out to build when we sat in a basement, pulled the industry apart, and tried to devise a way in, right? Early on, we had done, I think, some good work, but we were not growing very fast. And kind of at current course and speed, it was going to take us, 120 years to get where we are today. So we were asking ourselves what to do about that. And what we ended up doing in part because the market came to us, was we started to work with property managers. And we started to work with them on a non-exclusive basis. So we had property managers coming to us and saying, many of whom are customers of Rentals United, and many of whom are listeners of your podcast, coming to us and saying, hey, we like what you're doing. We'd love to essentially use you as a channel. We'd like to market our homes through you as a new channel, but of course, not on an exclusive basis. And the mistake was we said yes, and we pursued that business for a good 12 to 18 months. And the early testing went really well, and the later testing proved to be problematic. The unit economics just didn't work. We weren't getting the best inventory. We weren't getting the best calendar dates. We simply were not aligned with that property manager as a partner, right? As we went out and did all the things that we talked about, the brand standards became theirs, not ours. The economics of not having an exclusive, which of course we have with all of our owners, right? The only place to find these homes is through the Evolve brand on our site or on the distribution partners that we choose to work with. That didn't work, right? And so it was confusing for guests, and ultimately the model got bigger, but not better. And so, we made the difficult choice, what felt like a difficult choice at the time, to actually unwind that business. Felt like we were taking 3 steps back, but in fact, that's what accelerated us to where we are today.
Great, that's really good to know. That's a really good tip, I think, for starting property managers. And so let's move along and go to one of my favorite topics of the interview, and that is technology. Yes. I'd like to know, I'm also a tech nerd. So what have you built, and what do you outsource? Please go into details.
Happy to go into as many details as you'd like. I don't know how many people in your audience are as tech nerdy as both you and I. Here's what I would tell you. We started, let's map that journey again. We started on entirely third-party software. And I think that was smart, right? We were just 2 people in a basement with a little bit of seed funding and a lot of scrappiness. And reinventing the wheel from a tech perspective at that moment didn't make a lot of sense, and frankly didn't represent a strong return on investment. And when it comes to technology investing, I mean, look, technology is really fun, but at the end of the day, it's no different than investing in anything else. It's got a return over a reasonable period of time. What we found over time was we have to go build almost everything ourselves. I say almost everything. Let's start with the booking engine. Yes, absolutely. Let's start with, connectivity. For where we were going and at our scale, and I say this with all due respect to the CMO of Rentals United, we have direct relationships with, our largest distribution partners. We, of course, also didn't have to recode an email system. We didn't build a CRM from the ground up. We took the booking engine application and sort of sat it on top of some of those existing infrastructures so that we could really take the best advantage of where can we make a proprietary difference, and where can we iron out inefficiencies or, find footholds that will help the business scale, versus where are we simply rebuilding a wheel. So let me pause there. But I mean, I would say it's hard to kind of like pull it all apart, but almost all of the things that are really custom to our business in terms of how we operate are proprietary and custom built. The middle ground might be a lot of really interesting proprietary workflows that run through, say, a Salesforce system, Salesforce platform rather, that we've customized to the nth degree. But we didn't start by trying to rebuild a CRM from the ground up. So there's a little bit of hybrid there, and then of course there's full scale third-party tools like we didn't try and recreate Google Apps. That didn't make a lot of sense either.
Clearly, that would make a lot of sense. So, so PMS-wise, property management system-wise, it's Salesforce with your own workflows, would you say?
Yeah, so I would think of it as a Salesforce foundation of a CRM, customized kind of beyond recognition, so that it really kind of looks and acts like Evolve, because we had so many, again, back to the origin story here. The third-party PMS that we started on, it did 60%, 65% of the things we needed. It didn't do all the things we needed because our business model is unique. It also did about, I don't know, I've lost my percentages now. It did a lot of things we didn't need, right? And so it was really, and we were just this little company. So it was really hard to kind of get on their roadmap and et cetera. So we've really customized it. So take a Salesforce foundation as, the basics of how objects interrelate and those sorts of things, how you can create a customer profile, et cetera. And then build on top of that all the workflows and processes, build on top of that a full custom built booking engine and that is, managing all the inventory, all the rates. And then you start to get out, again, you stop me when your eyes glaze over, but right, all the things that we're doing to store all that data, all the things that we're doing to store all the photos and all the rates, and how our smart rates algorithm is repricing 14,000 homes for each of the next 395 nights every single night, right? We're essentially repricing over 5 million rates every single night in reaction to supply and demand, and snapshotting and storing all that data every night, right? So you're out into AWS, Snowflake land. I mean, there's a lot going on. But at the end of the day, back in, right, then you've got a custom front end, actually, that we fully revamped and overhauled and launched, I guess, about a year ago right now. I think I'll pause there, but I mean, it's again, maybe think of it like this: as you experience our brand digitally, you kind of work from custom, deeper, and then you get down to some foundational levels that are, built off of some third-party systems, but nothing that guests and owners and partners are dealing with every day.
So how many developers do you have?
Oh gosh, we have a team in-house that's about, we're getting up to 25 to 30. And then we also have, plenty of outsourced partnerships as well.
How many people in the company in total?
We have about 500 evolvers strong total as of today.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
great.
you very much.
It's really good.
It's an amazing team to work with. It's really a pleasure.
You're very, very lucky. Great. So what tech had the greatest impact on the business was my next question, but I guess in a way, I think you've really explained. Maybe we could talk about operational tech. Do you provide things like guest-facing tech as well?
Well, I would say it this way. We have guest-facing, interfaces. Okay. There's a guest account, right? You can work with your reservation, you can request things, you can change things, et cetera. I would say that's like actually an area though.
Things like welcome.
We don't have a native app, but we do have we do have a guest app and a guest account. But it's not yet a booking app, and that's actually where I was about to go. Is I think what you're going to see from us, in the next year, 2 years, is a much more robust, especially mobile guest, consumer-facing booking presence. At the moment and through our history, that hasn't been sort of the thing that was needed the most in the next instance. That said, our direct channel is growing a lot. And as that happens, we think that becomes more and more important to the business and to the brand and to instilling that trust. To quickly answer your question, though, what is the tech that's I think driven the most transformative change in the business? It would likely be the smart rates pricing algorithm and all the work that we've done around revenue and yield management. That especially in 2020 was a instrumental kind of system of navigation, so to speak, through this pandemic, right? Our ability to recognize the demand shortfall early and adjust accordingly, great. But equally, to then recognize when the minute that the stay-at-home and shelter-at-home orders lifted and the demand surged back, right? And we had an unusually open set of calendars. So you got, typical May, June demand times a lot, because most of July and August weren't booked after they canceled out in the heart of the pandemic. So for us to recognize that demand and be able to react accordingly, again, was huge. And now we're, into more geo-specific adjustments, and we think we've got years to run on that. But that foundation's been really incredible.
How many revenue managers?
That's an example, by the way, of something that is completely proprietary. How many revenue managers? Oh gosh, Vanessa, you're going to get me in trouble for saying the wrong number. I'll tell you what, I'll get back to you on that one. I don't want to misstate the size of the team, but it is an important question. I mean, I'd say more than 10, less than 20. I would say that importantly, it's a great question because it's not just tech, right? The tech is a tool, and that tool, we believe is still best operated, by experienced revenue managers who are, incredible at what they do. Now, the great news is they're not resetting 5 million rates, manually overnight, right? They're looking at slices and dices of data and understanding where supply and demand may be misaligned. And some of those adjustments are a lot smaller and happening more automated. Some of them are a lot bigger and are something that, our team is reacting to. There's also things that technology can't pick up yet. I mean, the instant that, a huge music festival, Coachella in the United States, they shift their dates, demand shifts overnight. It may not register in all the instrumentation yet, but we have to be on top of such things.
Absolutely. Very good. Okay, so let's talk about channels. Another sweet spot of mine. What channels do you advertise on if you want to? Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about how you choose the channels that you want to advertise on. Do you get bombarded every day by niche channels that want to have your inventory? How does it work?
We do get a lot of inbound interest from, look, no surprise, right? You got 14,000 properties, you have hundreds of millions of dollars of annual gross bookings. That's going to be attractive because, a small piece of that pie is potentially a lot, especially for a smaller channel. I would say this, our primary focus in who we partner with and how we approach it is one, of course, we're looking at just economically, does this make sense? Is it viable? Is the juice worth the squeeze, so to speak, right? Number two would be, are you aligned with us in the experience and the hospitality that we want to deliver to that guest? And then number three, are you the kind of partner that wants to engage with us, work with us over time, iterate, improve? Because this industry, as you well know, is so dynamic. I mean, this conversation is a ton of fun, and it's got me thinking back to some of those earlier days. We were living in a different world, right? I mean, talk about channels. At that time, VRBO, or Vrbo, sorry to our partners there, Vrbo was owned by HomeAway, and the HomeAway brand was kind of the lead brand. They were not yet owned by Expedia. They were not yet public, and they were not yet e-com enabled. You were buying subscriptions, and you had to buy the subscription independently on HomeAway and what is now Vrbo. And actually, I believe in the first 6 months of the company's history, you were still even doing things like paying by the photo, certainly paying into subscription tiers to get ranked at the highest levels versus things like your conversion rate and your review scores and so forth, right? So the world is so dynamic. And I believe we're in the early innings, the early days of this mainstreaming process. So we need a partner who is going to go on that journey with us and has the capabilities of doing so, because otherwise what we're investing in is something that I think is likely to be obsolete in 3 to 5 years if you're not keeping up and staying at that leading edge.
For sure. Well, we might have some partners for you, but that's a different conversation.
We would love to chat. And I know actually that we are at times.
That's really good. Okay, we've talked about this. So now I guess, because I don't want to take so much of your time, is to do, we finished the conversation with a little true and false. So it's like a game, and you have to, there's no wrong answer. But the only words that you can use are true or false.
I'm not allowed to qualify my statements at all.
It's okay if you want to comment, but anyway, that's the game. So I'll just read them out and you tell me if it's true or false. Okay, ready? Okay,
I'm ready.
Vacation rentals will be the preferred accommodation option for the next 2 years.
True.
We will not go back to strict cancellation policies.
True.
Google will become the only OTA.
False.
Enterprise level revenue management, or yield management, as you were saying earlier, will be a must for all business sizes to survive. For all business sizes.
True. Unequivocally true.
Short-term rental managers will need to also think like letting agents and offer short, mid, and long-term stays.
False. Yeah, yeah. Quickly,
Go
I'm a
for
huge
it.
believer in. I'm a huge believer. Like I agree. There'll be some convergence. There's some middle ground, 6 to 8 week stay type of thing. But these are different businesses, and I think that was a false flag of the pandemic. I don't believe that's the long-term future of the industry at all. In fact, I would argue that it's being able to deliver shorter stays consistently and to fill midweek calendars and not simply be in the destination business. That's actually more where the category is going.
Great, thanks for that. Size matters. Larger units will prevail in 2021.
False. Meaning higher bedroom counts, that sort of thing.
Yeah. No?
Yeah, no, I think this is a big market that can serve a tremendously wide array of needs, and that actually the mainstreaming of the category hinges upon being able to bring all sorts of different consumers into this market. You know, the couple with the weekend getaway to the big extended family, or the reunion of the old friends from university or what have you, right? That's the beauty of what we're doing here. Again, back to that notion of like, it's not commoditized. That's the beautiful thing about it. It's so hard for the hotel industry to serve that wide array of needs. That's why, you know, Marriott has 20, 25, 30 brands, right? I mean, this is what we do well. Let's don't run away from that.
Love it. And 2 more questions. Corporate travel will never come back to previous levels?
I'm going to go with false. I will say that I think the single purpose business trip is likely done, but I'm not convinced that the corporate travel industry can't make up that gap. So will I fly? You know, I mentioned, you're mentioning these partners. I fly and go talk to our partners all the time, right? Will I go for a single 90-minute meeting? No. That's going to be a Zoom from here forward. That said, I think there's a tremendous amount of value to getting together in person. And I think the pandemic has proven that. I think that the minute this is over, we're going to race to get back together and probably find new and interesting dynamics. I would fly for the 2-hour meeting with 3 different partners and a dinner afterwards, because that's an experience that cannot be replicated on Zoom. And as you well know, it's a huge industry, but it's a relatively small industry, right? I mean, we can fit in a room, so to speak. And like, I want to go invest in those relationships and build things for decades with this category. And there's no way to form those relationships over Zoom the way you can in person.
So that's perfect, which leads me to my next question. In 2021, we will cheers with a cocktail at a vacation rental event.
Oh
True
man, I hope so. I'm going with true. I'm an optimist. I'm a born optimist. I think that's probably true of a lot of us co-founder types. And I'm going with true. I don't care if it's like the week before, Christmas. Give me December 15th. Like, we got to be able to get there. And I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Let's make it happen. Well, thanks so much. Thanks so much. You've been great. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. And
it's really my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for doing this with me. So I wish you all the best, and we'll stay in touch.
Likewise. Take care, Vanessa. Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.